Now many people know or are familiar, or they probably heard that the people in India, the Hindus, or the followers of Sanatan Dharma, they worship many gods. And sometimes they're called as demigods. Well, the Vedas actually mention why these Devatas or these demigods are there. So someone may say, if God is so clear, if the Vedas have written that Krishna is God, then why is there need for the existence of demigods? Why there must be many gods, multiple gods? If it's so clear that the Vedas have mentioned that Krishna is only one God, then why to confuse people or why to mislead people? Why is there then a presentation of many gods? So the reason is actually a very loving reason. So Krishna, God, does not want to force his love onto anyone. That's part of love actually. If you force something on someone, is not love. Love has to come voluntarily. Love has to develop naturally. Something forced on is not love. So if Krishna is already there and everyone is attracted to him, why is there a need of demigods or devatas, as they say in Sanskrit? Let's see from a story. So once there was a small boy, and this young boy came home one day and he had a big fight with his mother. And he was arguing, and mother was shouting and scolding him. And he became so frustrated, he shouted at the mom that I'm gonna run away from home. And the mom says that this kid has always been threatening me, saying this, saying that. So she also, put a foot down and said, get out, run away. Why do I care? Go where you want to go. The boy got really furious. He was so upset. He said, this is it. And he left home. An hour passed, 2 hours passed, 3 hours passed. The mother's getting worried. The sun is about to set. 4, 5 hours passed. Now she's really extremely worried. The boy was so angry, so furious with her. He could have done anything. So she sets out of her house and searches for the boy in the local village. And she searches in people's houses and different places. Searching. Finally, in their village local temple, she found the boy. Now this is already late at night, who was lying down on the courtyard of the temple, sleeping. And as she came by, she saw, oh, my dear son, how are you sleeping, outside in the courtyard at night in the cold? She felt very bad. She wanted to just pick him up, wake him up and take him home. But as she approached him, she saw his face, his expression. He was still filled with anger. And mother immediately knew, if I were to wake him up right now, he's just going to run away. He's just going to be so angry with me, seeing my face again, seeing me, he's just going to run away again. And I may not be able to find him this time. So the mother thought what to do. She went home. She quickly got some blankets, some warm clothes, and some hot food, and all this kind of thing. And she brought it to the temple. She called the local priest. He said, my dear sir, this boy who's sleeping in your temple's courtyard is my son. But right now he's extremely angry with me. So kindly give all these things to him, but do not mention that it's from me. And she moves off. She leaves. So this priest of the temple comes and wakes up the child and gives him some clothes and gives him some food to eat. And the child is so happy and so grateful and thankful. Priest, thank you so much. This story is our exact situation. We are like that angry child. It is mentioned in the Vedas that the reason we are in this material world is because we were envious of the Supreme Lord. That we did not, we were thinking that why Krishna has to be God. I want to be God. We wanted to compete with God. And therefore we tried our best to leave him and to go somewhere else. Now the mother is like God. So Krishna knows that if I come directly to the jiva who's angry with me, who's jealous of me, and if I try to give him, he will not come to me. So Krishna arranges for a third party. Like nowadays you have merchants, work through the priest. So when this boy woke up, he felt gratitude towards the priest. But in actuality, where did all these items come from? From the mother or from the Supreme. It's the Supreme who supplied through the priest. But this boy could not realize, the boy did not know, and therefore he was so grateful and thankful to the priest. So therefore, Krishna has created this layer of devatas or demigods so that people who are anyways envious and wanting to enjoy separate from God can ask all their needs from this demigod, right? I need this, I need this, I need this, I need that. So whatever one wants, they can ask from this person, from these demigods. So Krishna puts a layer at the back. Another example we can see is when you go to the bank. Now there are multiple tellers, multiple counters, and you have to deal with one person. And let's say you're applying for a loan, or you want to do a withdrawal or a deposit, and you fill up the form, you pass to the person who's sitting at the counter, the teller, the bank teller. The bank teller looks at it, stamps it, and said, "Okay, done." And you're like so grateful, thank you very much. But in reality, what's happening? Does the bank teller have any authority or power? No. They just stamp the form and pass it back to the bank manager sitting behind. And it is the bank manager who actually authorizes the withdrawal or the loan and passes it to the bank teller. But the person who's actually coming to the bank only thinks that the teller has approved me. In reality, it's the bank manager. So simply, it's Krishna who's giving and supplying and empowering through the medium of the demigods and devatas, because the jivas are not ready to accept him. Now we extend this example and see that if a person, a client in the bank, knows the bank manager personally, right, who's very personally connected with the bank manager, they may directly go into the bank, and the bank manager may see them. Oh, hi, come to my cabin directly. And the person may actually come and sit, and the bank manager himself can give or do whatever the person wants. So in this way, if one actually knows Krishna, there's no need to go through the devatas. But at the same time, if let's say the client walks out of the bank and insults the tellers, insults all the people sitting and working in the bank, saying that I know the bank managers, I don't need all of you, then would the bank manager be happy? No. So similarly, because we know that Krishna is supreme, that doesn't mean that we can insult and not respect the other devatas. Now we may not go to them, we may not need to separately please them, but we should never insult them, because they are working, or they are actually functioning on behalf of the Supreme. Another example we can see is like in a government, there's a prime minister and there are many ministers. So they're ministers of each department, but they all report to the prime minister. So similarly, God, Krishna is like the prime minister, and then you have ministers of, wealth and defense and economy and so on, education and so on and so forth. So the different devatas or the demigods function in each department, which God himself can do, but he does not, because he wants to have that middle layer so that the jivas who are not ready to surrender to him, who don't want to know the truth, they still can get what they want. A very interesting comparison. It is said that God is like a parent, whereas these appointed demigods or devatas are like a shopkeeper. How? Let's say if there's a young child who wants to get a cigarette and goes and asks the parents like, come on, mom, dad, give me some cash. Say, why? What do you want to get? I want to get some, get a cigarette. And if it's a small young child, parents might just slap him on the face or, just scold him like, how can you even think about smoking at this age? But if that same child has some money and goes to the shopkeeper and says that, this is the money, give me some cigarettes, will the shopkeeper even think twice? The shopkeeper will just, it's business. So similarly, the devatas or the demigods, they give us what we want. Whether it's good for us, whether it's not good for us, whether it's going to harm us, if we have the right documents, if we have all the right applications, we will get what we want. So people do fastings, people do austerities, people do all kinds of prayers just to appease the different devatas to get what they want. But God gives us what we need. So Krishna is like the loving parent who gives us what we need. And therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that, the devatas, the demigods, will quickly fulfill your desire. Because that is what people want. So those who want a quick fix, they may just go to a devata or a demigod and get it done. So it's more of a business deal. But Krishna, being a parent, may take some time, may delay, because he is more concerned in our well-being, in what we actually need. So this is the beautiful relationship that God realizes that, and God knows that all the jivas are envious of him, do not want to turn to him. So he creates this layer, or this whole management of different personalities, and you can get your desires fulfilled. You can try. Ultimately, in Bhagavad Gita, he says that all benedictions, all power are coming from me, but you will give your appreciation to them, no problem. But slowly, slowly, maybe over many lifetimes, when you realize that I'm not happy with all these material things and all these perks, I want to look for truth, then all of them step aside and Krishna reveals himself as Supreme God. When you realize that wanting has no end and has no satisfaction, but what you have and what you need, and that itself is perfection, then one comes to actual understanding of God as the Supreme Person. Hare Krishna.